Hi, Cheyenne. It's so nice to see you.
Hi, good afternoon.
So, I want to welcome everybody to Cheyenne Says. And today, I just love, I know so much because of you. And I didn't even know I did. So, thank you. But today, she's going to talk about Year of the Wood Dragon. So,
Awesome.
yeah.
Uh, the there's something called Bazi, which means eight pillars in Chinese, and it is different times. Most people understand one of their pillars if they've been to a Chinese restaurant. I am a dragon, I am a rabbit, I am an ox, based on the year that you were born. But there's actually eight pillars. You're either an earth dragon or a fire dragon or a wood dragon. It's based on the year, the month, the hour, and the day that you were born. So every um, day is a different pillar. Every month is a different pillar. So it takes 60 months to cycle through, 60 days to cycle back, 60 years to cycle back. So the last time we had Year of the Wood Dragon was 60 years ago. And what was happening then was the Cultural Revolution. They also study things called feng shui, and it's not just about your placement in your home, but it's about cycles. And we're going into period 9 this year, starting in February, we did. And period 9 has to do with females. So we have a 20-year cycle of going into period 9, extreme change. This year is an extreme transition year. And because it's a dragon year leading it, it's very, very different. Last year was Year of the Rabbit. I'm sorry about that. I didn't turn my phone off. I'm going to turn it off.
We're absolutely seeing the extreme change.
Yeah. So the rabbit is one of the most genteel, calm, quiet. The Chinese really don't want their children to be born near the rabbit. They don't like it. They love the dragon. And because the dragon follows rabbit, sometimes they're really holding on just for a few more days so their child can be born in Year of the Dragon instead of Year of the Rabbit. But last year, the energy was grounding, gentle, internalizing, contemplative. This coming year is not. This kind of coming year, the visual is a huge pine tree, a huge redwood, let's say, on a mountainside. And you put them together, they call it a guardian. So sometimes in feng shui, they say, oh, it's really good for you to have like a mountain behind it's like the mountain is protecting you. This is Year of the Dragon, and it's Year of the Wood Dragon, which is a guardian. So we're old enough to know what The Empire Strikes Back, the movie is. The Empire Strikes Back, in the Star Wars, they blew up the Death Star by using the Force. Luke used the Force, so he didn't use the computer. He used his intuition, and one shot blew up the Death Star. That one shot wasn't him. It was because there's thousands of other light bears that got him to that position. It could have been anybody. And then there was something called The Empire Strikes Back. Well, we've had the Empire running things, the global cabal and negative elites and everything. This is the light bearers strike back. This is the light bearers are going to come in and and it's not going to be with violence and the sword. It's going to be with our powers of visualization. Now, the Chinese generally think this is a very lucky, lucky, lucky year. I don't like the word lucky. I use the word fortunate. And for some, it's going to be very fortunate. This year is going, because it's a seeding year for the next 20, it's going to be very visionary. And so if you don't have anything going on, like I don't have a lot going on myself, but I'm going to use this time as a time to seed with my mind.
Right.
And all of us light bearers can use this by just visualizing and holding things.
Mhm.
So I said last year was genteel and It was water. Water goes from the sky and goes into the ground. And when it goes into the ground, it gets absorbed. It was a rabbit, which is wood. It's plants. Plants have roots and they're held in the ground. Not this year. Even though it is kind of an earth year, the energies are very airy, very fiery, very. And so what's going to help us survive this year is by being peaceful and not by being thicker skinned. And there's going to be lots of anxiety, lots of anger, lots of people meeting energy with things they can't imagine. Things, the Schumann resonance, as we know, has gone off the charts, spiking all the darkness and almost like boils coming up to our skin emotionally. Anything that's hidden is going to come out. People are really going to need to express themselves, and it's not going to come out well. It's not going to come out well in families. It's not going to come out well in relationships. It's not going to come out well online. It's not going to come out with our coworkers. And it's not going to be easy to keep our heart open when somebody comes and goes blah and vomits all over us, or criticism, condemnation, and judgment can be a form of evil, cursing, and it hurts. And so without grounding, if we ground, all that stuff goes into the earth. And if we don't, our heart closes down, we shut down. We might even close a relationship with someone we dearly love because we had a bad moment. And so it's very, very important that we ground. And it's very, very important that we get our bearings, especially when we get to the car. I know there's a lot of young people that have anxiety in communication. They have a very difficult time with things that we find easy, like picking up the phone and calling. Other things like that, people are facing a huge amount of anxiety. And if that's the case, this is not an easy year. So there's definitely some things that I'm going to kind of talk about that. One of the things, if you're having a hard time, say speaking to a boss or someone has power over you, or someone that there's a conflict with that you eventually have to talk about, one of the things that I was taught by a Tibetan Lama was to put our hands by our side, put our feet on the ground, and stand up and make the call, because that just grounds, and we're not in a position to be hit, and it's easier to ground. And I want to say a few things. We have a different society than when you and I were younger, in that we don't have, when we were young, there was no electromagnetic radiation in our buildings. There wasn't 200 people living in a building with 450 cell phones and Wi-Fi's in the same building. So that we would call electronic stress. And we're going into a fire season. We think the Chinese think that computers and things online, that's fire because of the electricity. So that's even more fire. And so for those that live in cities and for those that live in congested living spaces, it's really, really important to go outside. For example, it's good for you. Your building is grounded, Candace. I already checked that. But a lot of people that live in higher up buildings, it might be grounded in the first 3 floors and not grounded. Yes, if you plug something in, they have to, by law, have grounded. But sometimes you can lose that. The way to stay grounded is to wear sensible shoes. And so if people are wearing high heels, I know people think they're sexy, but when you wear high heels, you're saying you're sending a message to your brain that both feet are forward. I mean, and so and you walk like that forever, there's called a reverse polarity that happens. And when a reverse polarity happens, you can't have kinesiology. Some of the things that are good for you actually test bad, and vice versa. And so sensible shoes. I'm about to drop a name of a company that I use, and I have no sponsorship or anything, but I have some shoes called the Harmony shoes, and they actually put little copper in the rubber in the bottom of the shoe. And so but most tennis shoes, I would say 90% of the ones I've tested over the years looking for myself or other people's shoes, when the shoes cut them off. And so if you don't feel grounded, or you're feeling anxiety, or you feel emotion, take your shoes off and get them on the ground, um, and walk around, so that at least one time a day you can have that gone, that electromagnetic stress gone, which is a frenetic energy that mimics survival and anxiety.
Right. And and for people who know how to muscle test, they can do that with each pair of shoes.
Yeah,
Shoes on and test and then take them
yeah,
off. Test, yeah, good. I just wanted to share a real quick thing about what you were talking about. When I was a kid, um, I grew up near Francis and Division here in Spokane, and there was like two houses in a vacant lot. And I used to go in the vacant lot, and there was like a hole there. So I would get under there against the earth and cover it with branches and stuff and watch people as they walked by, which was like maybe one a day or whatever.
yeah.
Feeling, I can still feel that earth next to me. And so, yes, earth, ground.
Our children don't get hardly any of that.
Yeah.
So what we give them instead is a pharmaceutical. And the pharmaceutical is just palliative. It's not curative. An example of a curative would be like vitamin D. They say it cures cancer, so many things, osteoporosis, so many things. And so getting sunshine and walking around for 10 minutes. And if you have brown skin or black skin, you need to be outside and get that vitamin D even more, because you don't have the same receptors as anybody else. So a lot of people are talking about things about to crash, the stock market and everything like that. There's going to be people in business that are going to do very well. And those are the people that are ready right now. They've had their vision before, they have everything ready. And so for some of you, it's going to be an amazing time. It's ready to launch. It's a very good year for real estate. The dragon is a perfect good year if you want to sell and you want to make a change, you want to move. It's a good year for money. I myself say, because it's such a transformational year, that I would be on the cautious side with things. Keep things in lower interest savings if you have money to do that. And this is a year of investing in yourself. There's certain things that pay more than anything else. Like the number one return on your money of anything is an education that's well placed. Like an education that gives you something where you're going to have a fulfilling career and be remunerated for it. A lot of our young people have not had that exchange from college. They've had a huge amount of debt. Their college was way, 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 way. And then the job they had, they're not even doing the job they had because it's not panning out for them.
Right.
So we have to be discerning on that. But if you are re-educating yourself, this great year, huge growth, that's an investment in yourself. If you
So, Shane, could you tell a little bit about like how to re-educate, like go to a college, what do you mean?
well, number one thing you can do, the number one thing that the world needs, at least in the United States, but I think all over, is a trade school. They are not suffering whatsoever. They are, if there were 10 more of them, there would still be enough. They're making $200,000 a year, and their debt is gone within 6 months of what they had to pay in a trade school. If you are going into, I don't know, I don't want to wax political, so it doesn't matter. But if your education is not paying when you leave, or you're having a difficult time getting a job, that's rough. You need to spend, this is a year of measuring twice, cutting once, looking things over and over again, double checking things, not buying a home without going to check on it. Calling an organization that's really important to some paperwork you have, an insurance you have or something, calling them twice and asking them the same question. Well, that shouldn't be a different answer the same time I called already. Guess what? If it's that important, you need to check it twice. This is a year of not doing something illegal. because a lot of people will get caught doing that. Uh,
What year do I get to do something illegal?
uh,
Go, go.
not the year of the dragon. Now, some people are going to get away. This is a fertile year for launching things. So, um,
Well, okay, 1 second. I'm so visual and that's how I remember. But so the dragon, like the fire, when you said launch,
mhm.
it's like, okay, so like if you are the dragon, then you just put yourself
Yes,
out there in the most powerful way. Okay, in a grounded.
yeah.
Okay.
People that have dragon in their baza are going to be well known. It's called the emperor. If you have that, that's the emperor of the year. You're going to be well known. You're going to be promoted. You're going to have a lot of other things. There's the baza practitioners do a chart on the new year of each year to sort of just get the flavoring. And there's just a lot of clashing this decade. So it's important not to get knocked down if you encounter an obstacle. Um, Sometimes people are really fragile and they'll encounter a negative word or an obstacle and collapse. That's where the grounding comes in. If you don't have an ability to clean what's coming out you this year, it could get really heavy and you could get really burdened. There could be a lot of crises this year. I mean, we've just had
You don't,
millions and millions.
if you don't have an ability to clean, meaning like going to a counselor or doing
Yes.
work or so to clear all the stuff you have.
Yeah.
Okay, okay, sorry.
The dragon is the only animal in the Baza that's celestial. All the animals are, we know, ox and boar and dog, monkey. Yeah. But this animal, the Chinese probably believe in dragons, and I'm not saying there aren't dragons, but that's a high, it's a celestial animal. And so if you have a spiritual way to clear, if you read the Bible, if you meditate, if you do yoga, some people walk. Um, I have a forgiveness practice. Those are the things. Some people sit and drink coffee. They have 5 minutes in the morning, then that's all they have. They have 4 kids and a husband, and they have to work and this. Some people get only 5 or 10 minutes to do that. If that's all you got, then you got to take that. The more stressful things are, I think the more time we need in that grounding position.
Mhm.
One strong suggestion, and this seems really hard for some, is to disengage from the black mirror screen for at least 5 minutes before you go to bed. I would say 15, but some people cannot make it 15 minutes. And give yourself 5 to 10 minutes before you pick that thing up in the morning so that you can establish a break from that. Uh, it's not a grounding. Being on the computer is not a grounding. Living a real life, watching others live their life is not the same as living your own life. Even if you're just sitting and meditating or even resting and watching TV or, I'm not dissing what people do on that. So it's just an important year to vision. And in order to vision, can people who are deep in grief vision? No, it's hard. So maybe what your grounding is to come in touch with crying and emptying out. It's hard to, and letting that ground, it almost feels if we let this anger out, if we let this grief out, we're going to die or we're going to kill someone or we're going to harm someone. No, you're not. So this year, if you're not able to vision something for yourself, that means there's other things for you to do on your plate. The vision you can hold for yourself is being happy. That's a good one. That's a great one.
Yeah, that was Carol's. I grabbed it.
Yes. This is not a year to take risks with, say, dating, or this is a year to meet someone at lunchtime at a busy coffee shop and not in the middle of nowhere or at your home. This is a year to protect yourself. It's the year of the guardian. So it's not a year to say, oh, I trust everyone and I love everyone. And yes, I'm glad that we have that, but it's a year to look after yourself in safety and locking your car door and other kinds of things, because there's going to be um, some people aren't going to handle things well. Not everyone's going to be able to deal with their anger or other things. And you just keep yourself not from being a statistic on some things. And so it's a year to look after yourself. This is the best time to do a liver or gallbladder flush. Um, for people that have allergies, if you either cleanse voluntarily, or the universe will have you do it. So I'm saying gently to those who have some health issues. All of us have had our fill of detoxing on every level, spiritual, mental, emotional, and physical. So voluntarily cleanse. Voluntarily cleanse yourself from negativity. Voluntarily cleanse yourself from, instead of 20 hours on the computer, do 18 hours on the computer. Instead of a 12 pack of beer, do 6 pack of beer. Just cut it down. Just
Right.
take an action. Maybe you just do a juice that you don't cook at all. This is a year. Remember how I said there's certain things like your education pays again and again. Learning to cook or learning to make one meal for yourself pays dividends over again and again. It's as an investment in yourself. You didn't learn that? You're 40 years old. I don't care. I didn't learn computers and I still haven't learned them yet, but that's one of my goals, because the technology is going to make the largest leap that we've ever known. Probably the technology is already there. This year it's going to skyrocket. I don't want to get left behind.
Well, AI has already got us all left
I-
behind, but
well,
no,
I'm kind of left behind myself.
I
I'm left behind, but I'm committed to learning how to send files and other things. Everybody has a different see what else. I had a few other things written down.
can I ask you? Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I had a question about my bedroom.
Okay.
Feng shui. And I really like my bedroom, but I have a corner that the corner is pointing through me in my bed.
Hmm.
And so it's this corner right here. And so I'm wondering, can I like pin up some foliage or some lights?
Yes.
Okay, okay.
Even if you put the plant on that corner, it softens it.
Well, the
I'm just,
plant that's here, if I put a plant on, okay.
just so it's not there. So yeah, yeah, you got
Okay,
the right idea.
I'll do that. I have some light stuff I could put real easily, but thank you. I was thinking today I'd ask you that. So what else about I'm excited about the dragon, and I watch a lot of TV, and there's shows about dragons, and so my under oh no, that's dinosaurs. Okay, never mind. Go ahead.
Speaking of the bedroom, I think it's important to wash your sheets more often than normal than in other years. And if you've had a particularly rough day, to take a shower before you go to bed. Uh, it's also, if you don't wear pajamas, I recommend doing that. I mean, you can go naked or whatever, that's fine. But I recommend not wearing your clothes that you've worn out into the world and bring them, or it worked through the day. I recommend making that change. Also, you can clean around your bed a lot with peppermint or sage, or it just changes the energy around. Uh, because some people spend 6 hours a day, 4 hours a day in bed. Some people spend 8, some people spend 12, but it needs to be a clean slate. And 5 minutes before you go to bed, it's not a time to solve your problems. It's a time to either pray, if you do. If you don't pray, that's fine. But it's a time you're about to go in sleep and you're going into the unconscious and you're about to stamp whatever's there sitting in your frontal lobe, sitting in your limbic system for all those hours. So even if it hurts or even if it's difficult, Give yourself a healing thought to take into that bedtime thing.
Yeah.
And I know that a lot of people have been wronged and bullied and harmed. This is the year of the empire, the light bearers striking back. This is the seeding year of women, and bullies will never stop. The victims, quote, have to do the stopping. And so it's very easy to send the FU energy to predators. And I've been the queen of that. You know, I try to be forgiving, but the reason I focus so much on forgiveness is because I've had a very vengeant heart myself. But sending a positive thought to someone going through something, even a predator who has harmed someone else, really does set you free. And having a hatred thought will tie you to that person. And so when you go to bed at night, if all you can do is think of yourself being happy for 1 minute, or think of yourself being healthy, you're going to, the frequency so high, the self-healing is going to be off the chart. You don't need anything outside of yourself. The healing is there by the grace of God right there for you. You just have to access it in your consciousness. And so that's what I recommend for this year is vision and taking care of yourself, cleanse if you can, you know, and if that feels overwhelming to you, then like I said, instead of doing like a big long liver flush, maybe I'm going to do one fresh juice a week or one fresh juice twice a week. If fresh juice is something that sounds good to you. Some people do bone broth. Some people's version of healthy would be vegetables on a pizza. That's the only vegetables they get. Well, do that. You know, in prison, some of the only medicine they have was coffee. I've seen people cure themselves of cancer just with coffee. And people say that's not possible. Well, they had the mindset and they did it.
Right. Right. Yeah.
So good year, dragon year, guardian year. Just look after yourself. Look
Yeah.
after yourself. Be a guardian to yourself. Be a guardian to the planet.
Yeah. Thank you. I'm excited. I was excited about this year, and so now I know why. Well, honey, thank you for this. I really
Thank
appreciate.
you. And I love you, YouTube universe, the multiverse of YouTube. We're all connected.
Yes, and we appreciate you guys showing up and let us know what you want to know. So
Yeah.
bless your hearts. Bye.
Bye.